My time at All Saints Hoboken was extremely rich. It gave me the opportunity to join with them on the Maundy Thursday for a liturgy, which was done at home. I, myself and my wife Liza took part in a foot washing experience. I washed Liza's feet, she washed my hands. And Mother Elaine also shared a message for us in morning prayer every day. So that was also really good on the YouTube channel for All Saints. This gave us an insight into the morning prayer and to prepare our hearts for the worship which was going to happen on that day. All Saints prepared for us a Maundy Thursday service, a Good Friday service, an Easter Vigil, and 2 services on Easter Sunday morning. So it was an action-packed 4 days as part of our Tridem. It all began in service online for Good Friday. The morning prayer, Mother Elaine informed us, would be that we could tune into that at any time. Throughout this weekend, I was extremely busy, so it gave me the opportunity to tune in after the live service. But the Good Friday service was an hour. There was a said liturgy that was available through their Facebook page, and it gave me the opportunity to just approach it and come to it at a time which was convenient for me, and I really enjoyed that. Although I wasn't partaking with the family online live, I could still see the comments and when people were participating in the service in real time. So it enabled me to make comments, likes, love hearts and all those good emojis during the service, which was great. It enabled me to feel a part of things, even though I wasn't live. The comments that had previously been made live through Facebook's platform enabled us to do that. The whole process for me, I included a research report for this as well, where you'll find comments about the financials for the church, which were pretty strong actually. The clear cohesive part for me was that there were over 600 members, but only 100 worshipping in the actual church itself on a weekly basis. It said that the stats were for 2017 and 109, and online I counted over 50 for both Easter Sunday services, and there were more than 30 for each of the services that I attended. The picture you see now is the Good Friday service, where Mother Elaine wore black to mourn the loss of Jesus' death, which I thought was really fitting, and again it drew attention to the stages of this process for this weekend, which was really helpful and insightful for us. In this message, Mother Elaine spoke about the film A Few Good Men, and quoted the quote from Jack Nicholson where he says, you can't handle the truth. And I myself was studying, and had been for that week, John 14:6, and she recited that verse, so it spoke to me. It gave me clarity and cohesion in my own spiritual formation as I was going through this process for the Lenten season, and culminating through the Easter traditional services with them, which was really enriching and encouraging for me on a personal level. We then come to Saturday, where there was an Easter Vigil which was shared and actually broadcast to the entire Diocese of Newark. This was a part of kind of sharing the Easter weekend with participants across the diocese, and so I believe Bishop Carley just decided that it would be good to encourage different churches to partake in the services. So All Saints was spotlighted for the Easter Vigil, which Mother Elaine sang beautifully. It was really good for me to hear it again, because last year I went through the training with Professor Julian Watchner, and he kind of just opened me up on a personal level to the idea that I might be able to sing, and just hearing her sing, and it reminded me of going through that process with him on a Tuesday morning, and how much we long to be together in community again, singing and chanting and just praying and going through the formation of church together, and how much we miss that. But hearing her sing and appreciating her voice, I recorded it last year, and so it was really enriching for me to be able to encounter that and experience it. And the other part is that Mother Elaine took part in a clergy and I guess laity choir, which performed at the National Cathedral in Washington, and here she was sharing with us online that is available from the presiding bishop's message. The choir sang a song there as well. And then that brings us to Easter morning, where they performed a 9 a.m. families ministry service, which was given for the purposes of families, which is obviously a large part of the ministry at All Saints in Hoboken. I know since Mother Elaine has been in her position as priestess, that as the rector, she's had that opportunity to baptize a lot of families, and Hoboken has young families, and I think that's been a real kind of wonderful opportunity when I visited to see that alive and happening. And so it was great to see that there were over 45 to 50 families and members of the congregation involved in the 9 a.m. Service, which I took part in. And then that led to the 10 a.m. service as well. I took part in that. Due to the final project, I had to come out. I heard the prelude of the 10 o'clock service and left around 10:45 to join the 10:30 at the Hoboken Evangelical Free Church, because that's where I'm doing my final project. But the service on the Sunday morning was wonderful. She again preached a beautiful message and gave us insight into, the fact that whenever we are in a position of doubt or fear during this pandemic, that the resurrection happens. And that was her reciting that to us through different seasons of life. Resurrection happens when we are going to get our prescriptions from the pharmacy. Resurrection happens through our pursuit to get groceries. The resurrection happens on no one's terms but God's himself. And that just was really an encouragement to me, and I think for us all through this. And we also got to renew our baptismal vows together, which was a real blessing for me, given my own journey this last academic year. So again, I think I need to meet with her to discuss what that means and how that leaves me in a personal way, because obviously a renewal of baptismal vows for me is particularly unique. So I would like to talk about that formationally. The whole experience was very edifying. It gave me a great sense of purpose to the weekend, even if I was really busy and watching 3 church services in addition to going to my own later that day and preaching myself. So the pictures I hope help to capture what happened on the day and the days that we were together. And so that's my experience at All Saints in Hoboken. Now, in addition to that, they have various ministries and things that are happening throughout the church. They have partnerships with the All Saints Day and Preschool, which formerly were a part of the church, but they're now non-denominational organisations of their own, which recently happened. And actually, All Saints in 2001 went through a merger with Holy Trinity in Hoboken, which used to be the name of the building. All Saints was another building. I think originally there were 7 churches in Hoboken which were Episcopalian, and they are now just 2. Holy Innocents, also on 4th and Hudson, is where Mother Elaine has her parsonage and I think her office, where she lives with her husband Tim and their wonderful dog. And they have a Christmas tree sale there in that church, and it's had renovations. And I believe the Friends of Holy Innocents are trying to enable that to come back to life as a church itself. And so that's another piece as well of the pie. And they have relationships with the Jubilee Centre. I'm not sure if that's separate from the church or if it remains a part of it. But originally that's I guess an outreach which is based in either Jersey City or on the uptown part of Hoboken. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's by the bridge. And then they also have a collaboration, a partnership with the local ELCA church, Pastor Gary, who I've met with. They have a relationship with St. Matthew's, which is the ELCA church there in Hoboken. And then they also do have a generous and a really encouraging platform where on their Facebook page, their website is currently down at the moment. They were sharing the homeless shelter in Hoboken, which gave them, I don't know, a platform to share other people who were seeking to receive funding at this time. And obviously for the church, I read recently that 75% of churches weren't receiving their tithes, which has got to be a real blow to the financial side of things for the church. And then also because we weren't meeting together on Easter Sunday, which is often when churches get a large chunk of their ministry funding. The loss financially for churches globally right now because of the pandemic has got to be pretty high. And yes, she shared on that page the interfaith church service, which is happening, and other ministry work is going on in the locality, which they're a part of, they're in community with. There's a Hoboken Clergy Council, which I know exists. Mother Elaine is also a firefighter chaplain for Hoboken. And there's a whole host of different things which keep happening in the same time that these gatherings continue to meet and continue to happen. So I don't think there's necessarily damage done in this way, but it does mean that I think by the generosity that they just have an open heart. I wouldn't say it was damaging, but it just really called me to be generous with my time and generous with my tithe in new ways. So I was grateful for that. And yeah, that's really my summary of the experience. On a personal level, I really enjoyed it. It was extremely uplifting for me on a personal level. I miss the parish church experience from being in England, and this kind of gave me some reassurance of my faith, my Anglicanism, and without denial, I was extremely touched on Saturday night to light a candle, to watch the vigil, and to sit alone and read the liturgy until the early hours of Saturday morning. And then to go live with them and be a part of it online as it was happening was a real privilege too. So a huge thank you to Mother Elaine and all the laity that were involved. And thank you, All Saints in Hoboken.